Just can't get enough. It's like being in the back seat of a movie, watching a comedy film with these two here. You're obviously enjoying seeing the old days again, 1981 when that was released. And that's never been seen in Britain.
No.
Why was that then? What was the score?
Well, we released the record in Britain, and then videos were just starting to be made in those days, and it was a hit in Britain, and then we decided to make a video just for Europe, to be shown in Europe.
How much in those days, do you reckon?
Well, we were sort of forced into doing it as well. We wasn't too sure about it, and everyone was saying, you've got to do it, you've got to do it. And it was, I think it was about £7,000 or something. We thought that was outrageous, you know, to spend on this sort of, this little film, you know, that goes with your single, you know. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of money. You wouldn't even talk to a director now for that, you know.
That's true. I mean, what is the cost now for doing a video?
Well, I mean, the last one that we done was, I think it was, what?
25,000.
30,000.
And that is still reasonably charged in
cheap. I
comparison
mean, we've
to
tried
Sun,
to
isn't
keep it as low, but quite low, because you can do interesting things. It's not always the money that's involved. You can splash out £100,000.
I mean, some people on the label on Mute, they've got a couple of artists like Nick Cave and that, and they just made videos for about £1,000, and they're still really good.
Which are good, you know. They're just as good. It's just that, you know, because it's a lower budget doesn't mean that it's not, you know, the video isn't so good as a £100,000 video. You just have to stretch the imagination a bit more.
Shock horror. We saw you all wearing black leather in those days, and then you got out of that. But it was a very definite image the band had, wasn't it, in those days?
I mean, I think it was, it was a shame that we stopped wearing it all, because we started wearing all the leather gear again now, you know, so, I don't know why we drifted out of it, because at that time we was hanging about with a lot of people from Southend who were all into the leather sort of look, you know.
Southeast part of England, I should
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Right.
And, it was just a crowd that we used to go out with, and they were all into sort of the bondage look, you know, it was sort of, just after punk had finished, and we just sort of wore the same clothes.
So is this you two at home then? Is this your sort of comfy, easy clothes?
Yeah, it's our casual gear now.
It's our studio gear.
Leave in silence. Hysterical laughter. That was the first video you did on video, such. It looked very good. Very clever. I liked all the superimposing. It was quite ahead of its time in many ways.
Yeah, there was a lot of clever ideas going on in there. I don't think we sort of really achieved to its full, really, what we was trying to do there. I mean, at that time we was the director we was working with sort of was experimenting a lot as well, I think. And we was his guinea pig. We used to let him get on with it, you know, basically.
Guinea pigs
rather than get too involved.
Yeah.
That was 1982 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first video we done with that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So how was the sort of mood and temper of the band in 82 then?
Well, it was good. It's always been good, but we were just in a bit of a down period then. We felt Leaving Silence especially was perhaps one of our best singles, and I remember Radio 1 sort of like daytime especially, sort of like they thought it was a bit of a gloomy record, and it didn't get much play. Pete played it. But you know, I think as a band we feel that is one of our best singles.
I think it's a really atmospheric song, you know, it's really good, and because it lacked a bit in the old airplay, so it didn't do as well. I think it could have done really well, you know, if everyone had been behind it a bit more. But I think it done us a lot of good as well, you know. That was a stage we was going through where it was a funny period, you know, with the critics and everything, and I think that record sort of shocked a lot of people in a way. They was expecting another sort of, you know, up-tempo, poppy number, and suddenly we hit them with this sort of real doomy number, you know. I think it done us a lot of good though, you know, in the long run.
So a new addition to the family though, at this stage, wasn't there?
Slick.
Wilder.
Yeah.
Wilder.
He got that name actually when he used to slick all his hair back, you know, when he was on tour, and
he was always a bit more sophisticated than us.
Yeah.
Difficult now to think of him as not being part of it.
No.
He has fitted in very well.
Unbelievably well, I would say.
I mean, for a year we didn't pay him anything, He always grumbles about that.
He was just, he does now, yeah.
And Martin coping with the majority of the songwriting as well. Unfortunately, he's not here with us. But
that was one of the most difficult times, I think, for Mark, because it was the first time he had to sit down and actually write like 10 songs all in one go, you know, for an album. And he'd always just written a few songs now and again.
You're such a close band. I wouldn't think you'd give him much time to actually go away and do it. Did you?
Well, we always give him at least a couple of months a year. We try to write. So it's the most important thing. If you keep your songs good, then you always sell records.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah.
And when you start songs slip, that's when your sales slip as well.
Yeah. Was this the beginning of your love affair with Germany, for instance, where you?
This was our first big hit in Germany, and also we mixed the album. Construction Time going there. We had a really good time mixing that.
It was the first time we sort of ventured out of the studio that we'd been in for like 2 years, and we went and recorded somewhere else with a new engineer, you know, working with new people, and it was just, the whole thing was really fresh and exciting for us, you know. Martin was going through a real sort of change period all round, you know, sort of personally and everything, you know. He changed quite a lot through that period, probably the most he ever has, you know.
He's quite a changeable guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, when a new British band then goes to foreign territories, whether it be Europe or America, Australia, I mean, is it very different from Britain for a band's point of view? I mean, are the press different? Is the television different? Is the radio different? Is it...
I think it's more different for us, because when you, like in Britain, for instance, we always tend to do a lot more work, because it's a lot of pride at stake, really, I think. In Europe, when we go abroad and we do concerts, it's much freer, you know, you can really let yourself go.
You feel relaxed, you let your hair
Like in Britain, for example, if you do a concert, you always think, you know, oh, we've got a few friends watching and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you're in Europe and in America, you know, you just really relax and you can sort of like, you feel like you can really let yourself go.
The TVs are a bit different as well. A lot of them you just sort of, like this, you just do it, you know, you just do it, you go in and you do it, you don't hang around like for 10 hours all day long, you know, waiting to do a little bit of TV, you know, which a lot of the TVs all across Europe are like, you know, this sort of thing. You just
What kind of questions do the foreign press ask you?
Well, it depends like, in what country.
I mean,
like France, for instance.
Are they more interested in your personal lives than they are about your music?
Well,
or
France, we've done this press conference in France, and basically they can only muster about 2 questions out of about 20 of them.
Yeah.
And they were
there was like all
general,
these people, you know, like sort of
like real
looking at us,
trivial questions, and then you've got like in Germany, which tends you've got 2 different types of things. You've got the Bravos, which are they're a bit like the you know.
Yes, the team pop cover.
Yeah, the team pop.
They go for anything,
sort of
you know.
heavier side
Got
of
real
things,
heavy
yeah.
things as well.
Yeah. So I mean, they're perhaps not generally as interested in the music as they are about the character, the makeup, and the.
Oh no,
exposing.
no. I mean, Britain is probably the most sort of fickle place there is, you know, for actually that side of things. For the actual, you know, if a band looks good, they can become successful.
Right.
Whether their music's good or bad.
Right.
In Europe and America, they tend to sort of analyse the music a lot more.
Oh, they do?
You know, I think so. Yeah, I think they, you know, because the way we sort of built our success in Europe has just been through playing live and stuff. It's, you know, it's not been by doing loads of TVs and stuff, because we haven't really done that. We've just always played live, and we always sort of treated it as just part of the world. We haven't sort of done a huge tour in Britain and then done a couple of gigs over in Europe. We've treated every place as like, you know, treated it the same, you know, which I think is.
Do you think that counts for your success over there?
I think so. Yeah, I think the fans have been loyal to us, and we've tried to be loyal to them. You know, going back all the time and doing tours and things.
All my 2 guests are to the band Dave Gahan and Andrew Fletcher, better known as Fletch. Everyone's got nicknames.
And a few other names as well.
And a few others.
I won't repeat those.
Yeah, what's your nickname, I wonder, on the band?
I've actually got a nickname, haven't I? Really? Garney, I suppose.
On the new album, actually, it's almost too early to talk about it, so we'll wait till a bit towards the end, because this whole programme is all part of the story so far, Depeche Mode, which actually is an album now, in singles form, isn't it, 81 to 85. But obviously you will be doing a new album in the new year. We talked about songs and Martin songwriting. Will this extend more, do you think? The rest of the band getting more involved?
It's definitely, I mean, we definitely want to get, as a band, we want to get more involved in the whole production and everything of the thing, you know. We've always been involved in the production, and it's always been a co-production between us and Daniel Miller. But we want to sort of get more involved, you know, and have more say on what's going on, which I think is a good thing, you know, because the more you get involved, I think in the end, the better it will be, you know, for the band. It's definitely a broader, the topics which Martin's written about a lot broader than what they have been, I think, on any album, really.
It's very
you've grown up an awful lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Martin has as a songwriter, definitely.
I mean, it's a very good position for us to be in. I mean, not many bands can go into a studio with like 10. He's got 11 songs, which are really like top quality.
At the moment.
And it's such a good position to go into the studio and just work on the songs. A lot of bands have to write songs in the studio. And they have to work on the songs in the studio. It's just a real good position to be in.
We've actually got them up front, which is a great thing. That's what we're doing now. We're just in a small studio at the moment, just programming and working on arrangements and stuff. To sort of, Martin comes up with very rough demos. He'll have a song that's very, very rough, which has got all the tune, basic melody and everything, and all the lyrics. and then we sort of look at those songs and look at them and see if we can change arrangement and stuff and make it more interesting maybe, or whatever, and that's how we work on it as a band in the end. But Martin's always the one who actually sort of comes up with the ideas first.
Just to give you an indication as to how popular Depeche Mode are in Britain, when that record was released, they had some T-shirts done, one which had Master across, and then there was another T-shirt which had Servant across. And I just mentioned on my radio show that I got one of these Master things, and I had about, I think, probably 3,000 or 4,000 people writing in asking for that T-shirt. And then when I said, I haven't got enough to give away, but I've got a Servant T-shirt, I had another 5,000 or 6,000 people ready for Servant, Master and Servant. Good track, that. It's slightly more rocky, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's probably, I was just saying, I think it's probably our wildest single to date. I think if you, I don't know, it sounds a bit weird saying wildest, but I think it is. I think it's quite on the edge, you know. It's a very sort of, it's a very tense sounding single. It's almost not a pop single at all, you know.
Instrumentally, then, where does the band go? In other words, the actual sound of the band.
Well, in the studio, like Dave said earlier, Martin presents us with very rough demos, and sometimes they are very rough. Yeah. And like we then do preparation work, like that's what we're doing at the moment, a month of preparation, which we go over the song in a very small, dingy old studio, and work out structures and the best way to do the song, and then we'll go into a studio and we work quite a lot on sound.
But definitely,
I mean, when we first started, we had real definite roles as a band. Like, for instance, I would be the bass. I'd, play bass mainly, and Vince would play a lot of rhythm, and Martin was sort of lead synth.
Yeah,
but now
this is what I was getting at.
Well,
right, all synth.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do use a lot of synthesizers, but generally these days we use a lot of computers. I mean, there is a difference between synthesizers and computers.
Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that with a computer you can actually use real sound. You can actually, when I say real sound, I mean like you can sounds. You can take anything. You can take anything. It's very acoustic sounding, so that's why the last couple of albums haven't really sort of sound synthesized. The first album was a synthesizer album. It was totally synth pop. It was totally electronic. Whereas in fact, although we're still sort of we're still called an electronic band. In fact, we're not really an electronic band in the way that we don't really use those sort of synthesizers anymore.
But the $1,000,000 question: are you likely to pick up a guitar, for instance?
Well,
we do. I mean,
but for us, that's a cop out.
Yeah, to actually use.
So many of the early synthesizer bands, they just went back to the conventional lineup of a guitar, bass, and the thing is,
it's not even that so much. It's just the thing that the things we're more interested in looking for interesting sounds, and sometimes we do use guitars in the way that we might sample a guitar chord or something, and then play that into a computer and then mess about with it and try and make it sound more interesting. But when it comes down, and we have actually, Martin's played guitar. He plays guitar quite well, so he has played a couple of times on songs such as Love in Itself, and then on the Construction Time album he played guitar. But we don't use guitar that much. We use a lot of drums, a lot of different drums and stuff.
Which after a different
the technique is not that much different from a conventional band.
It is very different. Very different. We never use the, for instance, we use mainly the control room, if people understand. That's the thing where the desk is, the room where the desk is. We only use the other room
for vocals.
Stuff, really. I mean, we put all our instruments in the control room.
We actually work in the control room rather than sort of setting up in the other. Right. And we don't, I mean, the way that we don't work in a conventional way is that, as Andy said, there's no roles. No one's like the drummer, the bass player, the guitarist. We all muck in on everything. We all can, because when you use sort of computers and stuff, you can all get in there and have a go, which makes it a lot more interesting. So there's a lot of ideas being thrown around at one time, But the next album, the next studio album, is going to definitely be a lot harder, I think, a lot darker sounding, and the songs are very good. So who knows?
Shake the Disease was a good one as well.
Good single, yeah.
I think that was one of the best songs Martin's ever written.
Song-wise, yeah.